What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, and this is Erin On Demand, a place for entrepreneurs and content creators looking to build your brand business and impact. And y'all, today we are talking about creating a powerful social media strategy, and we are gonna hop right in. Okay, so before we get into the steps, I want to share with you that a social media strategy is basically just a master plan of what you plan to do on your social media platforms to achieve the goals that you want to get out of it. So whether that is just building awareness or creating revenue streams out of your social media, you are creating social media goals and figuring out the steps that it takes to get you to accomplish those goals. That's basically what the social media strategy is. I like to call it a social media plan because it sounds less daunting. I just feel like the word strategy just sounds like so formal. But anyway, that's basically what a social media strategy is a master plan of your goals and how you plan to achieve them on social media. So let's get into the steps. The first step is to pay attention to your own behavior as you are engaging with social media. So this is a missed step a lot of the time. We are just mindlessly scrolling, we are mindlessly watching videos and consuming content without paying attention to what makes me laugh, what made me click share, what made me send this to my mama, what made me engage. And this is something that is really important because you can use that information and start implementing those strategies into your own social media plan. So be very cognizant and be very alert. Try to look through that lens when you're consuming content and how you can begin to fold some of that information that you're gathering into your own content. Step 2 is to first understand the goals that you have for your social media, and then how do those goals impact the type of content you create. So let's take an interior design firm, for example. If this firm is trying to raise awareness as their main goal, I will post content that shows behind the scenes of you working with a client and you renovating their space, or before and after shots, or even some design inspiration that you draw from. If your goal is to educate your audience, I would post things like home decor techniques or different design tools that you use, things that are really going to educate your audience on how they can implement your techniques themselves. If you are looking to start building trust and converting your audience as your main goal, you're gonna wanna start to not just have before and afters, but also let your customers speak on their experience working with you as a designer. So sharing things like testimonials and the client's experience. And then if you are trying to get direct sales, maybe you just launched your first interior design product, you're gonna really wanna show that product and show how you use it and give people direct information on how they can purchase that. So these can all be either going on at the same time, or they can be goals that you set for each quarter. You don't have to pick one forever for your social media, but maybe raising awareness is for the first quarter of the year. That's your main goal, is building your business's visibility, which should be the first step in creating your social media plan, is to build visibility. So now that you've set your goal and you understand the type of content you should be creating, it's now time for step 3, which is experimenting with your content formatting. So there are a ton of different types of content that you can create these days. You've got Instagram, which has stories, live, feed, IGTV, IG Reels, like the list goes on. Now they have guides and there are so many things you can just do on one platform. Then you've got YouTube, which has long form content, YouTube Live and the community page. Then you've got Clubhouse now, and you've got, there is just a ton of different platforms, and there are a lot of ways that you can create content that is very successful for your audience. So you're gonna wanna start experimenting with those types of content. Y'all, please don't feel like you have to be everywhere at one time. You don't. If you want content that is short and engaging and fast-paced, maybe you wanna do Instagram stories or Instagram Reels or Snapchat. If you want content that is going to be long form and high value and packed with information and very educational. You may want to try YouTube or podcasting. There are just so many different types of content formats that you can experiment with, and I encourage you to experiment. You guys, they are there for a reason. Stop doing what you think is the right thing and just get into the rhythm of posting. Step 4 is to audit your social media as it is right now. This is applicable for someone who is currently on social media but just feel kind of stuck. And maybe you've never created an actual strategy before and you're just like, I don't know what to post. I don't know how to post. Like, I hate posting. You're gonna want to look at what you've posted and what seems to work. So it could be, you made one reel and the reel went crazy and now you're like, okay, I don't know what else to do. But you need to look at the analytics and figure out, what did you do right? What didn't you do right? If you are talking to your Instagram stories and you never talk to your Instagram stories and you got so much engagement when you talked to your Instagram stories instead of just like doing boomerangs and, showing your dinner, like, do more talking to Instagram. Assess the things that you are currently doing and look at what seems to be getting more engagement, more interaction, and look at the stuff that's not doing as great and really try to figure out how you can double down on the stuff that is doing well. You've audited your platforms and figured out what's worked and what didn't work. It's time to pick your main platforms. You should have one platform where long form content can live, like video content for YouTube or podcast, blog where you have longer written content, somewhere where you can really pack a lot of value in, and it's really gonna help establish your brand. The second form of content is engaging short form content. This is content that's really going to be engaging for your audience. Typically, it's a bit shorter, easy to consume, easy to share. So Instagram has stories, it has reels. Think about which platform you're going to use that's really going to promote that high engagement, something that you can do quick updates on, really engage with your audience at a much faster pace than doing a whole YouTube video or doing a whole podcast or things like that. And the third platform should be somewhere that is highly search engine optimization friendly. This would be Pinterest or YouTube or even a blog. A lot of these will begin to overlap, but some type of content that is easily search engine friendly. Someone can type in how to start a business or how to make an egg roll or whatever they're searching for, and your content is able to pop up. Now, these platforms can overlap. Maybe you only choose 2 platforms, but they fit into all 3 criteria. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, that fits into long form content and it fits into SEO friendly. And then maybe you want to do complimentary Twitter, and that is your short form, more engaging content platform. So after you've experimented, it's important to think about what platforms make sense for you to be on, because it is not feasible to be on every platform, especially if you are a one-person show. Now, once you choose your platforms, it's time to master your quality, quantity, and format formula. It's important to first make sure that your content is quality. And quality comes in several forms. This means that the actual visual quality is there, but also the information or value quality is there. So value can be making someone laugh, or making someone very emotional, or making someone understand a concept that they didn't clearly understand, educating people, making sure that the quality is there and consistently there. The second part of this is to make sure your quantity is there. So if you are going to create this social platform, how frequently do you want to be uploading, or do you need to be uploading to be able to hit the goals that you have? So if that means you need to hop on Instagram stories every day, or set a YouTube schedule to upload once a week or twice a week, or whatever your bandwidth is, you need to make sure though that the frequency still allows your quality to be optimal. You don't want to overkill on the frequency to the point where your quality starts to come down. So where can those two happily meet is where you need to figure out. This also comes with experimenting, you guys. If you start with 1 video a week and you feel like you can do more, up it to 2, but don't start so high to where you feel burnt out or your quality isn't there because you're over executing on trying to make sure you get the quantity up. The third part to this is mastering the content format. So you want to have a format that really works for you, and you want to experiment until you really get that down. There are some people who are crushing it with reels on Instagram, while there are other people who crush it with their captions, and they don't really do reels, but they post great pictures with very insightful captions. And then there are some people whose Instagram feeds don't do well, but their stories are where so many people are engaging, and they've really nailed how to pull people in with their stories. So you kind of want to figure out where your place is on social media and master that formatting. And once you kind of have that trifecta, that is really where your strategy begins to come into form. And that's the part where now you can start mapping out, okay, let me put this content calendar together, and I can upload twice a week on YouTube and 3 times a week on Instagram. And, we're going to repurpose that into tweets. And so that's where you can really start to play around. And honestly, that's the easier part. That's the part that people like to talk about as the social media strategy, like getting everything onto the calendar. But it's really the back end work that you do to be able to say, okay, now I understand what it is I'm going to be creating for social media. That's where a lot of people get stuck, is that you try to jump to the scheduling phase, you try to jump to like planning this list of content ideas out, but then they don't really make sense in the big picture. So get all of this back end work done first, and then get on later.com or Iconosquare or Hootsuite and start planning out your content calendar. The next step is to stop only focusing on the visuals. A lot of people will go out and take all of these beautiful photos, and then I see them on social media and I'm like, oh, this photo went to waste because the content is not there. The photo is incredible, but the caption is dead, and you didn't really do anything with it. You don't have to be so consumed with the look of things anymore. I feel like the visual is important, but if your content really speaks, there are people like Tabitha Brown who is killing it on social media, and I can guarantee you Tabitha does not care how her feed looks. She is there to inspire people to create content about being vegan, to make people laugh and feel good inside. So really understanding what your purpose on social media is. Yes, if you want your Instagram feed to look cute, then go for it. But really understanding, what is my place on social media? What information can I provide that isn't being provided in the way that I would provide it? Thinking about what differentiates you, because that part of your content is really what's going to help people gravitate to you and for you to stand out on social media. So the last thing is, if you want to kickstart getting your social media off the ground, it is really important to, back at step 1, understand what those goals are. What does your brand stand for? How are you standing out as a brand? Who are you even talking to? These are really important things to begin figuring out before you even put your content strategy together. And I created a 7-day brand transformation guide, which basically takes you through 1 whole week of transforming your brand. It is an interactive guide where you can write in it and you can really get a good understanding on steps to take every single day for 7 days to transform your brand. We go through target audience, we go through visuals of branding, we go through it all. So if that's something you're interested in, I will leave the link down below. It's only $10. It's on my website, and it has really been helping a lot of people transform their brand. So I would definitely recommend you guys check that out even before you start mapping out your content strategy, because those are the key points when you're building a brand that you're gonna wanna work through before you start establishing your social media presence. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made a social media strategy, and if not, why? I honestly think that it can be so overwhelming, but once you really just sit down and take the time to go through the actual work of why you want to build this brand, that's when creating the social media content around it becomes so much more easy and so much more fun. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.